Hi guys, NATO here. I'm going to do a video about immigration. I'm actually sick of doing stuff about immigration, but you guys, there's too much communication and basic noise over things that we shouldn't be having a debate about. The purpose of what we're doing at the border and the purpose of ICE going after anybody that's here illegally is not to deal with necessarily the people that are here illegally now, but it's with the people that are planning on coming to the U.S. illegally 5 years from now, 10 years from now, and the process that this keeps going on and on and on. The belief from people around the world that once they get into the United States that they are free and clear and that they won't be deported unless they commit some type of high crime isn't going to prevent people from coming here illegally. That's the problem. That's the behavior we're trying to correct. Now, there's been a lot of complaints about children and about how children are being separated from families. Well, the only problem with that is we can't prove that all of these children are with their families. There's a lot of kidnapping and there's a lot of child trafficking going on through South America and Mexico. And the belief is if you show up with a kid and it's your family, that you're not going to be deported or you're going to give special treatment. That is a belief that a lot of people have. They state this much. So by eliminating or correcting that belief and sending that message back down to or out to other countries and to people who want to come here, they are not going to be so inclined to make this dangerous journey with their own children, and hopefully it will deter people from kidnapping or trafficking children for the purpose of getting better immigration status once arriving into the United States. Another problem with this is that there are proper ways of immigrating to the United States, even without a proper visa. One of the things that's been a major problem is the smuggling of bad things, children, drugs, or whatever, across non-authorized crossings. If you want to apply for asylum, then you need to be going to an official border crossing. There's a process for it. That's how it's done. The non-official border crossings happen at non-official locations are all criminal. You're more likely at that point, I mean, if you were going to apply for asylum, you would go to the official place, do the official paperwork, because that's what you're here for, right? Right? If you're doing it the legal way through asylum, you would want to go to the place where you fill out the paperwork and do an asylum petition. But if you show up at an unauthorized border and then keep trying to sneak in without being caught, then you're just straight up breaking the law. And I don't know who you are. I don't know if these kids belong to you. How do I know you don't have these kids' real family locked up somewhere and they're waiting to make a phone call down back to wherever to let them know that, oh, I'm here, you can let the family go now. We don't know who you are. A lot of these people don't have passports. But the countries most of these countries all offer passports, and a lot of them have biometric passports, and all these passports will show minor children with the parents. So if they're coming here with their actual family, they should have actual proof with documentation. If they don't, I don't believe you, and you don't. There's a reason why we're separating these children, because we don't know who they are. We don't know if they're being trafficked. We don't know if they're in danger. And we're not going to put a bunch of children in with a bunch of adults. And some of the people who are claiming to be children aren't children. They're in their 20s and 30s, passing off as being in their teens or younger. So, yeah, if you don't want your children to be separated from you at the border, go to the official border crossing. File the proper paperwork. Do it as correctly and as legally as you can, even if your initial arrival at the border is not necessarily at the utmost legality. As far as asylum, 90% of all people who apply for asylum do not show up to court. 90%. If you were in such great need of asylum, you would think that you would qualify and you would think that you would show up to your court appearance to start the process and to finalize the process to get your legal status so you can just be better off. But no. 90% don't show up to court. That means that 90% don't have a legitimate claim to asylum. And as far as asylum is concerned, here's the thing. Asylum is meant for people who are being persecuted by their government. They're being persecuted by religious beliefs, ethnicity, or political persecution. If those are three things, if any of those three things are a reason why you're fleeing the country, and the U.S. has a pretty good idea which countries are having political uprising and political prisoners, and who are having, ethnic cleansing or having religious cleansing, we know pretty well which countries those are. And so trying to claim, well, I'm a victim of domestic violence. We have victims of domestic violence in this country, a lot of them. So, and it's not, the government is not forcing people to marry people who abuse them. So it's not a United States problem that in your home country you're being abused. Your own country has laws against domestic violence. That's not a proper asylum claim. That's a civil thing and a criminal thing for your own country to deal with, not ours, because we obviously haven't solved it, because we still have it here. So that's not a claim for asylum, and I don't think any claim for asylum should be granted other than political persecution, religious persecution, or ethnical persecution. And in the South America, I don't know of much ethnic or religious persecution. Now, political persecution, there's probably a lot of it, but you're going to have to prove your case and show up to court, or I don't believe you. And as far as giving them all asylum and giving them all amnesty, and letting them all come in here illegally for free and giving them all status, no. My family paid over $20,000 in an immigration case. Wasn't cheap. Took a long time. Sucked doing it. Wasn't much fun. So are you going to refund my family the money we paid in to an immigration lawyer, an immigration court, and all that nonsense? I don't think so. What about everyone else who's still out there in the world, who's doing it legally, doing it properly, paying the money out? You're telling them, well, heck, you should have just came here illegally, because then you could have got on and this been free. That's why we need to stop the illegal immigration, because if it's believed that you can just come here without doing the legal process and we just let you stay, we're going to encourage more people to just leave, come here illegally at non-legal border crossings to proclaim some BS reason why they have to leave, and the cycle keeps continuing. And we can't empty out the Middle East, we can't empty out South America, we can't empty out these areas and just say problem solved. There is no land, there's not enough territory, not enough space in the U.S. to do that. The infrastructure is not good enough to do that. It never was and never will be able to handle everybody. We won't be able to produce enough food here to feed everyone if everyone lives here. We have to have some empty spaces to grow food. If we don't have those empty spaces, because everyone's had to build apartments and houses for the entire South American population, or the entire African continent, or the entire Middle Eastern population, there's not going to be enough food to grow here. There's not going to be anyone there to grow food to feed the people living up here. It's not practical. I know it doesn't make you feel good, but it's reality. I mean, suck it up, Buttercup. You guys just think it's all sugar-coated, chocolate-covered marshmallows. It's not. It sucks. I don't like it any more than you do. I mean, I don't like to see legitimate families be torn apart, but again, I don't know who these people are. Either do you. You can't prove that they are legitimate families, that they are actually all related. You can't prove that they weren't trafficked, or that someone was kidnapped or in fear of their life. If they say that they've been kidnapped, that their real families are going to be murdered. You don't know this stuff. You don't know that it's not happening, and you don't know that it is happening. And I'm not going to put a 12-year-old girl in a facility with a bunch of 30 and 40-year-old men who have been out in the dirt for 6 months and have no ties to anyone in the area. I mean, especially since some of these people are gang members. Some of them are traveling and trying to come here because they are criminally minded. That's their goal, is to commit crimes, to traffic stuff. I wouldn't want to put any young children with close to those people. I don't want to put their young mothers close to those people. And so there's going to have to be some separation. There's going to be some separation between men and women and some separation between ages. It's just going to have to be the case, because if not, you're going to have a lot more problems than you realize. We're not doing this because we're mean. We're doing it because we don't know who you are. We don't know who they are. We don't know what their intentions are. And if they had good intentions, they would have came to the proper border and did it properly in the first place. They would have done it the legal way versus coming up here on an illegal caravan, just thinking that, oh, we all got in. You're not helping yourselves, and we're going to correct this behavior, and we're going to correct it by, upping the ante when it comes to enforcing our laws. If you don't want your family separated, don't bring them here illegally without documentation to prove that you are their actual parents and to prove that you actually have a proper case for asylum. Other than that, you need to stay home and do what the U.S. did to become successful. Build up your own countries. After the U.S. Civil War, this country was absolutely devastated. The South was burnt to the ground, wrecked with little commerce, next to no industry, and a male population that almost didn't exist. However, with the proper investment by the country itself, we were able to jumpstart the southern economy, rebuild their railroads, and now a nation that was once in full-out rebellion is now the most patriotic part of the entire country. Germany, France, Italy, after World War II, they rebuilt themselves. They were complete ash. And they stayed. The ones with the know-how, the ones with the economic clout, the engineering know-how, and the money stayed. They rebuilt their countries. Now they have some of the higher standards of living and some of the most desired places in the world to visit. South America, Asia, Southeast Asia, the Middle East, and Africa, you could all be the same if you would put money into improving your own countries. I mean, no country in the world can handle everyone else's problems. You're going to have to solve your own. You can come here and visit, and I believe everyone should be able to travel and visit countries and see different cultures, but you're not going to improve anywhere if everyone who just doesn't like where they're at can just move to a country they would rather be at, because some countries aren't going to have anyone left living. Anyway, until next time, guys, peace out.